Dear viewers and listeners, welcome to another episode of the podcast series for the QuantiFarm project. Today with us we have Beatriz Almeida from Consulai, our partner organization. Hello Beatriz, and thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Nefeli.
So today we're going to talk about your work within the project. As we know very well, Consulai is responsible for the 30 test cases that aim to test and assess the DATSs or else digital agriculture technology solutions in real-life conditions within the project. So, by saying so, could you describe a little bit what a test case means in the context of QuantiFarm?
Yes, of course. So a test case is made of one or more commercial farms, and it's supposed that each farm tests and evaluates the capabilities of the DATSs. And we have an important figure that is the test case leader. There is a project partner that is responsible to connect farmers and all projects. And it's important to involve them and understand that in one test case we have to have one plot that is using DATSs and another one that doesn't not use in order to understand the difference between them. And the assessment work that we are working on is built on three important pillars, so the social one, the economic, and also the environmental. And we are doing this during 3 years in 3 annual cycles. So,
thank you very much. So, do you follow a standard process for all of them?
Yes, we try to standardize a process just to establish a common methodology to evaluate them. But it's very, very, very hard to do this, and we tend to follow a case-by-case strategy because, as you know, we have 30 test cases and they are spread across the 20 countries, and also work with different kinds of technologies that are segregated in animals or crops. So it's important to adapt our strategy and understand each one of them.
Of course, so it depends on each test case and the conditions that each one has, right?
Yes.
Good. So, how many test cases have been conducted so far?
Okay, so firstly we have the first test cases. It was like our original plan, and in the first year of cycle we have made 28 out of 30, so we hope in the third annual cycle to cover all of them.
Great. Moving on to the next question, can you mention the test cases sectors and geographical sectors?
Yes, so regarding the geographical coverage of the project, we cover 20 countries, but also 10 biogeographical regions out of the 11 that exists. And the agri-food sectors are spread in arable, fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy, and also aquaculture and apiculture with the bees. And we are testing in also both organic and conventional farms.
So you are covering a wide range of sectors and of geographical regions, yes, which is very important. Moving on to another question. You are also in charge of coordinating the test case leaders, as we know, supporting and guiding them through the process of the whole implementation of QuantiFarm. So how has this process evolved during these 2 years?
So it was important for us, the team of Consulai, to know each one of the test case leaders, so the people that are responsible to connect the farmers to the project. And during the first year, before the tests start, we try and we did individual meetings with each one of them, and try to pass and review the requirements and ask if there were any doubts, or just to clarify the methodology that we are using in the project. During the first 2 years, we organized workshops to validate some tools that we are using, but also to understand and exchange knowledge between the test case leaders, and understand if everything it was okay during the data collection process, because this process is the process that is more important in the whole project. And we had some trickies and we had some challenge to cross. During the first year, we had like a common moment for all test case leaders to collect data and also to complete the evaluation report. Although for the second year, we are going to organize 3 different groups just to be sure and to be able to communicate with all of them. So we are going to have 3 different moments, one for each group. And we hope to involve a lot the test case leaders and allow them to analyze also the results and to comment the results.
Which is very important, and also building personal relations is key for the whole cooperation afterwards. So you have individual meetings, small group meetings, and then full meetings, full group meetings.
Yes.
Very important. Also, moving on to another question. You mentioned the challenges. So what are the challenges you had to overcome by adapting in the given circumstances? You mentioned some of them, but could you elaborate a little bit more?
Yes. In general, it's very important for us to adapt to the working cultures, because we are dealing with different countries and with different cultures. So it's very, very important to adapt your communication style. How do you speak and communicate with the test case leaders if you are using an email or WhatsApp or a Teams meeting? So it's very important to adapt your communication. So this is like a general thing, but in terms of operational issues, we had to adapt in the fields and in the farms. So, for example, we have to change some farmers or adapt the location of the farm, and also during the testing we could have like environmental or weather different weather conditions. I remember one that was like it was very hard to us to cover. It was in Greece, in Greek, the 𝐏𝐫𝐞𝐬𝐿 region with the flooding, and sometimes we have delays during the harvest time or technical issues with the sensors, with the technology in the fields, on the field. So it's important to adapt the strategy, but more than that, each test case leader needs to have like a backup plan in order to collect the data that is needed. If it is not to the specific farmer, to have like a backup farmer, and provide us all the information that is needed for the project.
Thank you very much. And also, it is very, very, very important for the project to adapt into special conditions like the floods you mentioned and other weather conditions, because it's about live things in the field. Yes. So it's very important. And it gives many things to the project. It contributes a lot. So another question. Based on the conducted test cases, have you come up with some initial results that you could share with us, something very primary probably?
Yes, so after the first year of cycling, of test cycling, and working very close to the Italian team, we did together the cost benefits analysis of the different DATs. And we conclude that 3 test cases had net loss, but the other 24 had net benefits. So I think this is a very important result to share with you. And on the other hand, we did also a qualitative and evaluation work with the farmers that were participating in the project, and we did a scale between 0 to 4 about the motivation, and the result was 3.2, meaning that most of the farmers feel motivated, but there is a gap that we need to work and involve them in the project. Also, and additionally, in our internal reports, we have a lot of recommendations and lessons learned from the test case leaders that are important to explain and also to share. As I said before, having a backup plan, so maybe a farmer gets sick, maybe we have a bad wet condition like a flood or other kind. So it's important to have a backup plan, but always try to adapt your communication to the farmer, and also to do like a schedule, and try always to motivate the farmer. That's the most important thing.
So really optimistic results so far.
Yes.
Good. And lastly, one last question before we close our conversation. What can we expect in the coming months with regard to the test cases?
Okay, so we expect a lot of work from Consulai and from the rest of the consortium. These results that I explained before are going to be used and feed the toolbox, the project toolbox, and will also orient and contribute to the development of the Digital Innovation Academy, the DIA, with some materials. But we are expecting to work in 3 different groups, so not one common group, but we are going to organize the test cases in 3 different groups and work very close to the test case leaders, but also with the Polyme, the Italian team, because after the Polyme team analyzed the cost benefits of each DAT and each farm, it's important to show them to the test case leader, in order that each of test case leader criticize and comment, do some comments about this cost benefit analysis, and of course to prepare a common or a final shared report with all test cases result.
Great, thank you very much for your answer. Collaboration and cooperation is one of the most important aspects for the QuantiFarm implementation, and also receiving feedback and comments is also something very important for us. So thank you very much for participating in our podcast and for being here with us. And as for you, dear viewers and listeners, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe into the QuantiFarm newsletter, follow us on social media, and of course visit the QuantiFarm website. See you in the next episode.